YouTube, how's it going? John here from Herman Woodworks, doing a second part of cleanup on my MS461. My other video, maybe I'll try and do a link, as everybody says, somewhere in here, up here. I sharpened the chain. Now I want to do the actual maintenance, cleaning the air filter, wiping this thing down, blowing it out. Let's go over that. All right, so like I said in the last video, I did sharpening the chain. Now, let's clean this thing up. First, most simple thing. Let's clean the air filter. Loosen this up. This is going to come off. Turn this like this. And take this off. Be careful when you're doing it that you're not blowing sawdust to allowing it to get down into the carburetor. As you can see, it's got some dust packed in there. So I'm going to take this over to the air compressor. You're not blowing in. I'm actually going to go from the inside, so it's blowing the stuff back out, so it's not packing it into the fibers of this actual filter. So let me go run and do that. All right, so now the filter's all good. While you got this off, take a look around your seals just to make sure it doesn't look like there's any powder, sawdust sneaking into your carburetor, because ultimately that will kill your saw. So mine's all good. This is all good, so we're going to go ahead and seat that back on there. Take this, take a look around. In this case, I'm going to go blow this off. You'll get a little stuff built up in here. Depending on your model, some of them might have a screen, like my 026. My old 026 has a screen on the top that kind of like a pre-filter. Go ahead and give that a blowout. Make sure that thing's good. Wipe anything down. So I'm going to go clean that up and be back with that. Okay, that's cleaned up. So that'll just sit back on. Then that knob, it'll just twist it back on. Some of them are a little more complicated. My 026, you have to like slide it down, and there's some rails on the side to make sure it sits in, and then it's twisting the knob to align it. Like I said in my previous video, I already had sharpened the chain, but if you need to, check your tension. This could use maybe just a hair more snug. So we're going to be taking this off actually anyways, because I want to clean this plate where your chain's coming through. We'll get really packed in with some stuff really quick. Kind of amazing actually. If you guys don't have, I think Husqvarna, they call it a scratch. I just call it the tool. Get yourself one of these. Becomes a little more complicated when you got a wrap bar. A full wrap bar for holding on. Okay, got those off. Set those off to the side. Take your screwdriver and lefty loosey, loosen this up, take the tension out of it. That's plenty. And then you should be able to just take this and come off with it. And yeah, she's a dirty pig. So what you're going to have to do, let me get something to point with here. I usually take a brush all this out so I'm not just blowing all this material all over my shop. But then if it doesn't come out, some of these little ports right in here, you're going to end up cleaning that out, even if you got to pick all that out. Like I said, the air compressor should get most of it out, but you want to make sure, you know, this is for oiling your bar and your chain. You want to make sure all these ports are clean. At the same time, check, make sure all your little Delron plastic sliders are all in good shape. Your roller, make sure those are all good. But I'm going to go clean this out and be back to it again. That's what it should look like. Cleaned up and good. I like to take some mineral spirits, Give it a little wipe down, especially if you're into some pine or anything that's real pitchy. It'll get some buildup on it. So, like I said, check, make sure everything's all tightened up. I had to tighten these up a hair. Now the next thing will be actually getting in to, let's just go ahead and slide the bar off. Take the chain, all kinds of stuff, all the fun stuff. This side already taken off. Some guys like to take and wipe down their chain with either mineral spirits, or I've heard people use like kerosene or diesel, things like that. I'm not cutting anything that nasty, and I'm not going to that extent. So you can see I'm going to go ahead and wipe all this out, get all this away from the clutch and the gears, all that stuff like that. Let's do that. All right, we got the power head all cleaned up. Every once in a while, you might need to take this little oiling plate off to get behind that. I don't need to do that. It hasn't been that long. You can actually look down in this groove and see where the actual oil feeds out. Make sure that's not clogged. Next thing, while you got the bar off, check this thing. Make sure it's good and true. It doesn't look visually bent. See if there's any gouges on it. Make sure the chain's riding true. Contrary to popular belief, don't be the person that says, "Oh, your bar's upside down." It's got an oiling hole from both sides. Every other couple, I actually do it every other time that I do this. Flip your bar. That way it keeps wearing. Because it's putting a lot of tension on this and wearing this down. You can see it's all polished up from from being used. So yeah, you flip it every couple times. So last time I had it upside down, so I'm going to be putting it right side up. I guess I really can't say that if I'm saying you can use the other side, but the lettering will be facing up this time. So let's do that. All right, before you tighten everything, go too far, locking these down, I like to give the bar a little lift and then finish tightening your chain back down. I like to just do it where kind of just give a little snap, maybe get like a 1/4 inch of pull. You don't want it being locked up so tight. It's also, as you tighten these down, it's going to kind of naturally tighten itself up first. So I lift up on the bars. What I do, I always like to start on the back one myself. Tighten this down. Just make sure I hand tighten it a little bit first. And then tighten your front one. All right, last thing I did was took my rag that had some mineral spirits on it. I like to give it just kind of a once over on everything just to kind of clean it up. I already wiped it down, but just wanted to let you guys know I did it. Just to kind of make sure. Last thing too, you know, you had the bar off. Make sure that your chain is still gliding good. Make sure everything still locks and works right. And mostly, make sure you don't have any parts left sitting on the bench. All right, YouTube, I hope that helps everybody go over some of the basics. Some of the other stuff you could do is technically you could pull this top cover, blow off like your cylinder head, make sure all the dust's out of there. I ran the compressor over this. It's one thing I glanced over a little bit was I really went over this whole thing with the compressor, but now this thing's right and tight and clean, ready for another day of cutting. I'm going to be heading up to the property tomorrow to do some more chainsaw, to do some more clearing. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I will talk to everyone again soon.